Now, airdrops have been massive in 2023, and in 2024, they're only going to get better. And in this video, I'm going to talk you through some of the most amazing potential airdrops that we've got coming around. Now, everyone already knows about the big five, the likes of zkSync, the likes of Linea, Starknet, Layer Zero. We're not going to cover any of those today. What we're going to do is cover some of the underrated ones that you potentially haven't heard of. So without further ado, let's just get straight to it. Now, where are we going to start from? We're going to cover 10 different airdrops today, and I think some of these are really underrated. Some of them will come out and really shock people, I think. If you do want to learn more about airdrops, obviously subscribe to the channel. And if you want to see even more information about airdrops, I did recently publish an article in my newsletter covering 39 different protocols and chains that you can potentially airdrop. They do include some of the common ones as well. So I think, yeah, definitely go check that out. But let's start off with today. We're going to cover, first of all, we're going to cover Grass. Now, Grass is what I call a decentralized physical infrastructure protocol. And essentially, it lets you earn passive income by basically sharing your unused bandwidth, so your unused broadband. And it's a simple plug-in and play application. You basically just get the Google Chrome extension. And once you're connected, it will basically utilize your underused bandwidth and sell that information to vetted companies. Now, this is what the dashboard looks like. I won't show you mine because obviously it has personal information, but essentially you can see a lovely dashboard here where you can see your earnings, where you receive these points. And we all know that points mean prizes, and therefore I think a Grass token of some sort is coming. Grass is created by the Wind Network, who were incubated by New Order DAO, and New Order DAO have incubated some wonderful projects, the likes of Redacted Cartel, the likes of Y2K Finance, and so Grass is another one incubated by them. The application works really well. You can keep track of your earnings. You just basically leave it on in the background. Now, I will leave my referral link in the description below. If you use it, I get a few extra points. If you don't, no worries at all. You can get Grass yourself directly by going to the website and basically just opening the dashboard there. So up to you, but I will leave my link in the description below if you are interested. Now, seeing the likes of some crypto assets like Render perform really well does make me think that if something like this does take off, and there are already over 100,000 users, I think this could be very valuable. Right now, they don't have a mobile app, but they are building one. So I think if you want an airdrop, I think this is one that's probably likely going to come. I have heard sources that this is going to be on Solana. So if that is the case, then well, they're going to hopefully have a little bit of a premium because of the hype that is going around Solana at the moment. Stay tuned and find out, but I do think that this will be an airdrop in due time. So that's Grass. Moving on, let's talk about the second application. This is one of my favorite applications in DeFi at the moment. This is Hyperliquid. One of the reasons why Hyperliquid is so good is because it is the place to trade long tail assets if you wanted to trade perpetuals for them. You can see here that I've got Jito, the latest token that came out from Solana, listed at the moment, or I'm trading at the moment. But if you just have a look, they've got a ton of other really long tail assets essentially over here. All the kind of big altcoins or small altcoins even that you can think of are all listed here. Fantastic, because it works really well. Hyperliquid itself is its own layer 1, but essentially they aren't building other smart contracts. They essentially want to be the place to trade perpetuals, and they have made a wonderful application. Now, if you look on the top here, you will see that there is a tab called Points. As I mentioned just before, points mean prizes. So you can go to the Points tab and you can see how many points you earn. They are distributed every Thursday. You earn points for making trades, having open interest, paying fees. And so essentially, the more trades, the more volume, the more open interest, the more points you get. And no one wants to be in the Wood League. So yeah, we don't want that. Now, if you actually have a look, Hyperliquid actually is in the top 5 for perp dexes by volume consistently. Yesterday, Hyperliquid did over $1 billion in volume. So I think this is one that shouldn't be faded. I think if you compare it to some of the other perp dexes that have tokens already, I personally, and obviously this is not financial advice, but just looking at the metrics, I personally think that this should be a 9-figure dollar protocol, and I don't think there's that many people using Hyperliquid as there should be. So yeah, really interesting. I probably will write a thread on Hyperliquid on Twitter, so go and check that out. I'll have that there hopefully in the next day or so. But I think yeah, Hyperliquid really underrated and a great place to actually trade. One of the things that I like to do is basically farm the funding rates. So what I'll do is I'll have a look and see like which funding rates are like really high or really low. So, perhaps let's take BNB. So BNB is minus 41%, meaning you're actually getting paid to long. So you can get paid to long here, and then you can go to another perpetual exchange and short BNB there. Or you could do it the other way around, where let's say if we pick, I don't know, Canto. Here you go, we're getting paid 272% to short. You could open up a 1x short here and then spot buy some Canto, and you can just farm those funding fees along the way. So a nice little passive income strategy that, you're delta neutral and you're able to make some money on the side there. So that's Hyperliquid, probably one of my favorite applications in this list today. Moving on to number 3, we're going to talk about another perpetual exchange. This one is called IntentX. Now, the reason why IntentX is pretty interesting to me is because of the technology that it runs behind. It uses what's known as an intent-based architecture, and essentially they have these solvers that will basically take your orders and go both on and off-chain to basically get the liquidity for your order, which is fantastic because it means you can tap into not only on-chain liquidity, but also off-chain liquidity, including Binance. That's why they're able to list like 200 plus crypto assets already that you can trade, even some of the smallest altcoins as well here. I believe you can actually arrange them by market cap. If I move all the way to the top here, for some reason it's not loaded there. Might be just a UI glitch, but yeah, you can trade on here. And again, just like the other two protocols that we talked about, they do have points here, and we know that points mean prizes. The likelihood is there will be an IntentX token, and the more trades you do, the more volume and the more open interest, the more points you're going to get. So yeah, I think this is a really good one. The back-end technology behind this is Simio, which I've talked about in my 0 to 6 figure series as well. So go and check that out. But I think either way, this is a great protocol. Yes, there are some issues with it. It's not perfect. It is very new as well. You are taking on smart contract risk as well. However, I do think they will have a token, and I think it probably will be worth something. So yeah, that's IntentX. That's number 3. Moving away from perpetuals, next number 4, we're going to talk about Ambient, which is this new generation decentralized exchange that actually has a number of features that are coming out with Uniswap version 4 already. Ambient is very efficient, probably uses half the gas that Uniswap does at the moment. Very efficient in that regard. And you can actually use Ambient. It's a simple DEX at the end of the day where you can swap one asset to another, but you can actually use it on Ethereum, but also Scroll and Canto. So you can get some exposure there. You can see here that it's got concentrated liquidity. There are a few other pools here as well that you can look into. Very low TVL in total, like around 10 million or so, which to be fair is quite low. There aren't that many users of an application like this. However, I do think as we see more people farm not only Ambient but Scroll, we probably will see higher TVL there over time. But anyway, I think Ambient is a pretty interesting DEX, one that I've been farming on both ETH mainnet and on Scroll, and I think probably will have a token of some sort. And given the fact that it is a really hyper efficient new generation DEX that a lot of people in the Ethereum community have been talking about, I think this one could have a decent valuation. And I think just because of the fact that not many people are using Ambient, I think it does make an airdrop, if one does come, to be a little bit more valuable. Now, I am diluting my own bags here, but I'm doing it for your benefit. So yeah, make sure you leave a like on this video too. Number 4, we're going to talk about Dolomite, which is an Arbitrum money market. As you can see, you can basically provide assets and then you can borrow against them. So you can see you can earn by supplying, but you have to obviously pay if you want to borrow. One of the reasons why Dolomite is really good is because it's integrated really well with Arbitrum assets and the Arbitrum ecosystem as a whole. And that's what you can see here, like on the side, you've got many Arbitrum tokens, the likes of Dopex, GLP from GMX, Grail, Jones, Magic, Pendle, and they have like lots of these Pendle tokens, like these principal tokens, which I think are really cool because it unlocks a whole new way of kind of using some of these really interesting assets from Pendle, like taking a loan against them. Now, what do you need to do on here? Well, I think it's pretty clear. Open positions. They also have tradings where, so you can trade some perpetuals here. Actually, I believe. So you can trade USDC to ETH. I'll be honest, I haven't used the trade side. I've only used the other aspects of this protocol. And the reason why is because I looked in the top right corner and I saw that there is this level counter, and you actually get XP for doing a number of things. So you get XP for doing zaps, XP for borrow time, and XP for borrow positions. So like the more positions and the longer you borrow for and the number of trades you do, the more XP you get. I don't know if that's going to count for anything. Perhaps it will. They do have the ongoing Arbitrum stip going on right now, so you can actually get some decent rewards. But I think for now, like this is the stuff that you probably should be focusing on if Dolomite were to have a token, which I think they will. So that's Dolomite for you, an Arbitrum native protocol, which I think should be really good. Moving on, we'll talk about bridges. Now, everyone already knows about Orbiter Finance. For those of you who don't know, go and watch some of my other videos about how to bridge into layer 2s. But Orbiter Finance is a bridge that doesn't have a token at the moment. So I thought I'll show you a different one. This one's called Rhino Finance. And again, just like Orbiter, you can basically bridge from different layer 1s to layer 2s. Those are the two like main bridges that I've personally been using at the moment. So Orbiter and Rhino. And you can bridge to like all of the main L2s, zkSync, Starknet Scroll, zkEVM, Manta, Linea, Base as well. And you can obviously from Arbitrum and Optimism as well. So yeah, this is one that I've been using. Sometimes I do compare the price between Orbiter and Rhino, and sometimes you get a better rate at Rhino. So in those scenarios, I would use Rhino. But either way, I'm trying to just build my volume across both of those exchanges, because the more volume I do, if they end up releasing a token, the better. So that's pretty much Rhino. Nothing really too much to do other than kind of bridge. The more volume you do, the better, essentially. Next up, we are talking about Wormhole. Now, Wormhole's been a really interesting one because I actually talked about Wormhole on the channel like 2 years ago when I used to make videos about the Terra ecosystem, and I used to use Wormhole quite a lot back then. I haven't really used Wormhole too much since then, but I have noticed that they did raise over $200 million recently, and VCs always need a token to kind of get their exit liquidity, and so I think there is a lot of chatter recently around the idea that Wormhole will have a token. Wormhole, for those of you who are interested, is a cross-chain communication protocol, just like Layer Zero. Interestingly, around 3 million plus wallets are using Layer Zero kind of applications right now, but only 75,000 wallets are using Wormhole. And I think both of them are going to be worth quite a lot. They've raised so much money. So the question is kind of what do you need to do to kind of become eligible for a Wormhole airdrop? Well, if you go to the Wormhole website and you go to ecosystems, you will come to this page where you'll see all of the different applications that Wormhole is integrated within. So what you can do is you can go to a variety of these and just try them out. Or what I would personally do is just go and use some of the main ones like Portal. Portal is a bridge that basically helps you bridge assets from one chain to another. Really was really important for Terra, but also important for chains like Sei and Solana. So like this would be my way of like bridging in and out of Solana from like, let's say Polygon or let's say Arbitrum. If you wanted to bridge USDC over into Solana, I'd probably use something like Portal. I am wary that bridges are probably the highest risk thing in DeFi, especially we've seen countless hacks and exploits, but I'm not providing liquidity here. All I'm doing is basically just moving assets from one chain to another. So yeah, that's Wormhole, and that's Portal, the Portal bridge. Moving on, let's talk about Scroll. Now, Scroll is a layer 2 Ethereum scaling blockchain, and it's recently had quite a decent increase in total value locked. You can see that it's gone from early October when it first launched all the way up to almost $20 million now. And it looks like this is only going to increase over time. Now, I think Scroll out of Linea, Starknet, and zkSync is probably the one that's the least farmed of the four. And I think there's some value with that in the sense that if there is going to be an airdrop, you probably will get a little bit more than the other ones, just because the others have been farmed so much more. Now, obviously, I don't know that for sure. I actually recommend using all of them because I think there's value to all 4 of them. However, what I have noticed is that some of the applications on Scroll are a little bit more higher quality. We've talked about Ambient already, which I think you can knock 2 birds with 1 stone there by using Ambient. I think the other kind of apps are still kind of in the early days. Satori is a really good one, but it's still in its very early days here at Scroll. SyncSwap is something that I've been using on zkSync, so you can use that. Essentially, the idea is pretty simple. Go to these applications and you can click on them and then go directly to the website. And when you go to these websites, connect your wallet and basically use these different applications. So if you wanted to swap an asset, do it on SyncSwap, do it on not Era, but do it on Scroll. You can do it on Linea as well, actually. But I think this is going to be really helpful in kind of building more transactions, more volume, more smart contracts. The more you do, the better. My thesis for these layer 2 chains is to basically do at least the Arbitrum criteria. The Arbitrum criteria, you can find that very easily online just by searching what was the Arbitrum airdrop criteria. It essentially was using a significant number of smart contracts, having a significant number of volume, bridging into the ecosystem and using quite a few different apps. But if you do that, if you go on this list and use pretty much every single one of these dexes and kind of platforms, you probably will get significant volume and a significant number of smart contracts that you've interacted with. I think that will be a good thing for you, and I think that will be beneficial if a Scroll airdrop were to come. So that's pretty much what I'm doing there with Scroll. I think I will be keeping a close eye on this ecosystem as kind of things develop. It is still early days. Like I said, it only really started in early October, and we're only like 2 months in. So I think it is still early days, but I think doing regular transactions on Scroll is going to be a good thing for us all in the future. Next, I believe we're on number 8 now. We're going to talk about Botanix. Now, Botanix is really, really interesting. This is a EVM equivalent Bitcoin layer 2. They have this concept called the spider chain, which they're going to help to do that. Leviathan News did a talk with the Botanix team recently, so I recommend going and checking them out there. But this one's really interesting. Now, they are going to have their chain out in, I believe, Q2, like the mainnet, next year. So I think it is worth kind of being an early user and using the testnet here, potentially even becoming a validator if you can do when that does open. But I think the idea is pretty simple. For now, use the testnet. And what do you need to do for that? Well, you firstly need to open up your MetaMask. Unfortunately, it's not compatible with Rabi wallet just yet, so you might just have to wait a little while if you don't want to go back to MetaMask. But add the Botanix testnet, and then use the faucet to get some money, bridge, and also swap some tokens. Now, what you can do is they've got a step-by-step guide on here. You can basically swap tokens. You can buy this Botanix Pepe. You can bridge funds, and you can even create your own token as well. Now, if you do this, I think there's probably going to be better incentives for you. Being an early contributor is always a good thing. And I think if you can do that, fantastic. This is an ecosystem that I'm really interested in because I think we've really seen the rise of the kind of Bitcoin ecosystem so far. We've seen ordinals really take over. And I think if we can continue to see development, especially in the form of infrastructure like Botanix come from that, I think some of these will be valued really highly just because of the Bitcoin effect. So I'm not going to fade that. I would be interested in trying some of this stuff out. So what I'm personally doing is trying out the testnet at the moment, which over the coming weeks you will get lots of chances to do so. So you don't have to do this right now, but over the coming weeks I do recommend you to try out Botanix and try out some of these different things that you can do, including building your own token, swapping your token. The team did actually say in an interview that I did listen to that you can actually create your own token in like 5 to 20 minutes. So you can follow the steps there. That could be a fun little activity as well. That's Botanix. Number 9, we're going to talk about EigenLayer. Yes, you could say that this is one that people already know about, but I'm going to tell you a little bit extra. So EigenLayer is basically the place for restaking. Now, deposits are currently paused, but they are coming very soon. I believe just in a matter of a few days, we will see the caps lifted, and there will be a significant amount of ETH that you can actually restake here. Now, what you can do is you can take RETH, STETH, or Coinbase ETH, and you can restake it here, and you can get restaking points for the amount of ETH and also the time that you are staking for. So the longer you're staking for, the better. Of course, if you have size, then that also does help. But there will be a variety of other liquid staking tokens coming fairly soon. Some of them have been whitelisted, so we should see a wide variety of them there. Now, there are also these liquid restaking protocols that are coming out now, and some of them will be integrating directly on EigenLayer this month. And so what you could do is you could actually use some of these different liquid restaking protocols, and by using them, not only are you getting the airdrop for them or farming the airdrop for them, but you're also farming the airdrop for EigenLayer too. So that's something that I think you guys should keep an eye out for. But I think either way, I've been staking in EigenLayer from day one. Yes, I'm probably diluted because I'm a small fish and I don't have significant ETH, but at least I've got some restaking points, and I can't wait for EigenLayer. It's one of my favorite projects. If you want to learn about EigenLayer, I have done a deep dive on them, so go and check that out as well. But there's nothing really much to do here. You literally just take your RETH or STETH and just deposit it in, and you'll see your restaking points go up every single day. Lastly, we are going to talk about BearerChain. Now, BearerChain is this EVM compatible chain that's kind of built with Cosmos, and it is going to be super duper hyped. BearerChain, I am so hyped for. It's going to have this tri-token model. It's going to have proof of liquidity. It's really, really interesting concept. And what I love about it is that it all started from some Bear NFTs. And from Bear NFTs, we've now gone to a layer 2 chain, which has, as layer 1 chain, I should say, sorry, it's a layer 1, that has raised over has raised money at a $420 million valuation. So I think a lot of speculation is going on around here, like when is it going to launch, first of all, I believe next year. And secondly, when it does launch, how do you kind of get eligibility or an airdrop? And everyone has been talking about one specific way. It's by having exposure to the bearer NFTs. Now, there are lots of these NFTs. This one is the cheapest one, the BitBears, which have a floor price of 2.44 ETH, so quite expensive actually. What is that, like over $5,000-$6,000? But there are lots of other NFTs as well. There's actually the Band Bears, which should be a little bit more expensive. They are 4.1 ETH. You've got the Boo Bears, and which these are 15 ETH. And then you've got the most expensive ones, which are the coolest ones, the Bong Bears, which currently the cheapest is 142 ETH. But if we actually look at the activity, we should be able to see the last one sold for 60 ETH about 3 hours ago. So it's clearly some significant volume here, and like people really do know something about it. So yeah, lots of speculation. BearerChain is going to be awesome. I can't wait for it. Coming out next year. There will be tons and tons of applications launching on it. And I think it will be a really, really exciting place to be. So all in all, we've covered quite a few different applications. There are a lot more, and I've mentioned them all in my newsletter. So I'll leave a link in the description below. You can go and check that out. It is for paid subscribers only. However, if you really, 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 really want to know them, send me a DM on Twitter and I'll give you access. So that's pretty much all I wanted to cover today. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. We've covered a lot of different applications here. Some of them I'm really, really interested in as well. And yeah, let's see kind of how 2024 goes for us. Either way, I think if you can basically complete all of these, I'm pretty sure you will make at least 5 figures. Not financial advice, of course, there are risks when using some of these different protocols, but I'm fairly confident that that will be the case. And so I'm going ham on some of these, and I think you should do. You really should do too, especially for those of you who have who have a portfolio less than, let's say, 5 figures. I think this is probably your highest EV bet in terms of growing your portfolio very quickly. So I think these are all applications that I think have a high chance of having an airdrop. They probably will do, and I'm going to be using them all. So yeah, let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions. Let me know if there's any you think I'm really, really missing. If there is one, it's probably in the newsletter article that I've written. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back with plenty more content. in the near future.